to Margaret Speaks talk show program. Is an empowerment platform where we come together, especially for such a time as this, where we are, a lot of us are depressed, unhappy, and understandably so because of what's going on right now in the world. But because of the way life works, even in the midst of the darkness, there is some light. In the midst of depression, there's some hope. So I just thank God for the fact that that's what my life is all about, empowering others and giving them hope. So I didn't want to just sit and wonder what could have happened or join oh my God, what are we going to do? I decided to join the group that is saying we can do something about this. And there is room for all of us. So that's what Margaret Speaks is about. By the way, I am the only Oprah of Africa, understandably so. I'm grateful for that. People give me the name. I'm like, what? Oprah? I love Oprah, but then I get it because we have a kindred spirit. So she's about uplifting people using words, and that's who I am. I'm very compassionate, just like she is as well. So today on Margaret Speaks, we can hear them from the adults, the decision makers, and all these other wonderful people coming on the show. I have a gentleman that I met in my course of inspiring, motivating, speaking to students in different colleges and universities around the nation. And what happened is, in one of my presentations, Prince Community College, at the end of my presentation, challenging these young men and women to take ownership of their lives, begin to think about entrepreneurship, not just classroom education. And this guy rose up as one of them. He never left my sight through the process. I was able to see that he's going somewhere. He's a community leader. He's a student leader. You get to hear about him. But can we take a second and for those who had fallen as a result of this. So let's not pretend we don't know that a lot of people are hurting. And I'm not trying to minimize it, and that's why this forum is very important. Those who passed, I mean, when you watch all this media and see how devastating this illness, this monstrous virus is, no one look at it and say, oh, it's no big deal. It's really a big deal. The impact of this virus is going to last for 1 or 2 generations. So that's why I want to say to each and every one of you that has been impacted negatively, our hearts go out to you and your family. Just know that we're in prayers with you. I may not know you, but just know that many of us out here, rooting for you. If you need comfort, you need somebody to talk to, email me at margaret@margaretspeaks.com. It is imperative that you hold yourself for such a time as this, despite how bad it is. So I'm going to pivot right now to introduce to you our guest, because this time runs very fast. Before I introduce him, remember, when we're connected constructively, nothing is impossible for us to achieve. Yes, even in such uncertain times. Follow me on Margaret Speaks page on Instagram, Margaret Durecki as a person. I'm saying, yeah. And then Witati, of course. See, Witati power. I'm just moving around the world and bringing these young men and women. Without further ado, I want to introduce to you Malcom Woodbury. And he doesn't need any introduction. He's a young guy. I don't know if he's even 10 years old, but I'm going to bring him to introduce himself to you guys. And he's the one to watch because I know he's going to be somebody. And I am a disciple of spirit. So when I met him, and he has kept up every commitment he made, he keeps it. Before we go into who he is and what he brings to the table, I thought it was imperative that we hear from the eyes of the students who are being impacted, because they're the future of tomorrow. Without us taking their mindset and their issues into consideration, this whole equation is not going to be won. It's not going to make sense at all. That's why I thought that it's imperative that we bring him, because I've watched him and see how he operates and his vision and where I believe he's going. So Malcom, welcome to Margaret Speaks Show.
Afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Durecki, for that introduction. Yes, again, my name is Malcom Woodbury. Just a short introduction. Born and raised in Maryland. Grew up in Prince George's County, excuse me. Started my collegiate career in Prince George's Community College. I've developed the leadership and gained a lot of mentorship that has molded me to be the man that I am today. Through my 2 years there, I've assumed leadership roles again in clubs and work studies and various other outside organizations. I am transferring to the University of Maryland, where I will be majoring in information systems and continue my education. I wanted to come on the show to just give my perspective on how students are being impacted directly and indirectly from this pandemic. So thank you.
Yeah, wow, that's really amazing. So, I mean, nobody would say, okay, who is he now? I want you to write down his name, not in a piece of paper, in your permanent document, because you're going to hear from him. And I kept telling him, don't let the devil, don't let the people that are going nowhere pull you back, because you got it. All you need is to stay with the right people, with the right mindset, and continue to push forward. Because the time that we're going into is going to need leaders like you that is up and coming. I want to segue into what you just said, the mindset and the impact of this. Can you take a minute as a student leader that you are? He's also a Witati ambassador, and he's going to be working with Witati ambassadors as well, or members at University of Maryland College Park. Because what Witati is doing is seeking for the right minds that are going to be the decision makers of our community, because they are very much needed. So when we see the one, because you can't push a wet noodle. When we see the one that are going somewhere, but all they need is encouragement, we make sure we rally around them and make sure we encourage them. He's competing in entrepreneurship and stuff like that with us. I want you to take some time. Maybe we don't have all day, but when I said to take your time, can you speak from that perspective, from the eyes of the student, what you're hearing, because you're connected and you're literally been with them? Tell us so that the policymakers, the economic holders, stakeholders, can begin to say, okay, these people didn't die, these students, what happened to them? We don't want you guys to be forgotten. We don't want your voices to be drowned, because your voices is what's going to carry the day at the end of the day when the dust settles.
Right. Thank you. So this pandemic hit early, mid-March, I would say. So some of the immediate hurdles that us as students had to overcome were access to technology, parents in the house while we're studying, and just professors being trained mid-year how to transition online. In a way, your first thought would think everything's rushed. What's happening? You're not fully up to date on, or even like updated on what's happening, why this is happening, and how long it's going to happen. I remember the first 2 weeks with access to technology, schools were offering laptops or just a break period for students to get a laptop because they didn't have one, or one with a webcam, or one that could support the software such as Zoom or any of these softwares that they have us using for our online classes. And then that's just in the present state of in March, in the first 2 weeks. Also, students maybe on the first week, we thought it was a break, everything's okay, we're gonna get back next semester. But as this has been winding over 2 months now, everyone's worried about, okay, even if we do go to class in the fall, how are we going to be comfortable around each other? Who has this? Who has that? And then just hearing in recent news where some of my friends had a family member that had already passed. Some of those factors even affecting our mental health to finish this semester. They're having deadlines as finals. This is finals week, whether it's last week, this week, or next week. Everyone's finals is different, but just having that dawning thought in the back of our head about our family members being impacted negatively from this pandemic has really affected me. And I haven't had a immediate family member, but I know friends. I just know close friends in the community that I would have never thought go through something like this. And that's just the first hurdle. As this continues over past 2 months, this is going to affect our college experience overall, as this affects the fall semester coming up and the summer semester. Summertime, you could take some classes to either improve your GPA or retake a class that you may have failed. And this is all going to be online. Some of the common questions are, how do you do science online? How do you do advanced math online? Just stuff like that hasn't truly fully been answered. They've just been, we've been doing the best that we can, and we salute to our professors and staff on this transition and adapting, but they know it's not fully what we deserve, or it's not fully preparing us, but like they're doing the best that they can.
Right. So wait, right? So there are two questions. I want to ask, just listening to you, um, and I want you to answer them in whatever order. When you say that not fully preparing you guys, I think that's the biggest issue here. Because to be honest with you, I don't think anybody knows what they're doing. Nobody, because nobody has ever experienced anything of this magnitude. So, from your perspective as the leadership in this generation going forward, the first question I have for you is, what do you and your fellow students think? Because we're depending on you guys to come up with some answers. You guys can't wait on old ladies, old guys like us. You guys need to know that this whole thing may be falling on your generation. So what do you guys think? I mean, sometimes because thinking is a part of creativity. What do you guys, as you talk behind the scene, what do you guys, and then the second question, whichever way you want to answer it, I heard you say that some of the students are looking for the right iPad or didn't have it. Are you telling me that in the United States of America, as of today, there are students in Prince George's County or in the state of Maryland that go to college and don't have a laptop or the right technology that can help them facilitate this process of the switch? Is that what you're saying? Can you talk a little bit about that? Maybe we can figure out a way to change some of that narrative too.
Right. I can speak on the access to technology first. So I go to a community college first where we have a very diverse population, whether it be race, age, sexual orientation, whether it be whatever your beliefs are, very diverse. And some of the up in age students didn't have that access. They were relying on financial aid. They were relying on school given laptops or the access in the library. And then from what I've heard in the university space, again, students are being on financial aid, or students who are relying on school computers are not having access to that anymore, or they just don't have a computer in their house. They may have it, a laptop, but that laptop may be outdated, and then there's no computer in the house. So there's a lot of situations with that access to technology that we had to address the first 2 weeks as we were transitioning. And then as an up and coming leader,
wait, before you go to that, so for every problem, there's a solution. Outside this forum, I need you and I to talk and see how, as a retired ambassador, how we can go to the companies that have billions of dollars that are in technology to help us to solve some of these issues. Because I think it's unconscionable for these students in the United States of America, they call it God's own country, not to have access to that. And again, like I told you, remember I said that COVID-19 is bad, but in the midst of evil, goodness can shine. Who knows, this may be what is needed to blow up the lid so we can see what is wrong. And maybe together we can solve that problem. So I want you to make a note of that, because we can talk on how we can solve that problem. Go on.
Yeah, and 100% agree. Addressing your second question with how this problem could potentially lead up to us taking it upon ourselves to address. Some of the ways that we've adapted, this isn't 100% answer, but we've definitely had to incorporate Zoom just like everyone else into our everyday lives. We're doing study groups, we're doing FaceTime groups, a lot of group virtual meetings just to discuss work or school related topics. In the future, I would say we also are helping our professors with this transition to the virtual space, whether it be helping them with their webcam setup, helping them with their homework assignments, just giving notifications through emails that you didn't post this, you didn't post that.
Because most of them are old school like myself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that, but I think
I'm using myself as an example. I have to get my daughters to, Didi, can you do this and that? Nothing wrong with that. It's our generation. You know what I mean? So that's why we depend on you guys. And together we can make it happen. Go ahead.
Right. And it's not just helping the professors, we're helping our younger siblings. They're also going through this, even if they're not in college, they're in public schools. I know my sister has to wake up for her 9 a.m. class. She's only in elementary school, and they got her learning online for about 2 hours. My other sister, she's a dual enrollment student, so she takes classes in public school and in the community college. So she has to be on double time on the video calls, and that sometimes overlaps. So just helping her balance that. That's my way of helping the younger generation to pivot during these virtual times.
I told people that you're a man ahead of your years. By them watching and listening to you, I'm sure they can agree. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to talk about it's about census because a lot of us minority don't understand the importance of census. I'm telling you, census is the only way we can be not the only one of the major ways we can change our narrative. Because if you're now counted, it means that your need wasn't met, wasn't taken into consideration when policies are made. The schools we go to, our zip code, everything. Just like now that they said that in the majority of the people dying are blacks because they are in the front line and all this. But guess what? Behind that is some economic decisions and public policies that were made behind the scene using numbers. And that's why we as a people must not uh, do anything like that. So make sure we follow through. So the commercial is playing right now. When we come back, I'm going to talk to you about the virtual switch, how that is affecting each and every one of you. And we'll be right back.
I see it actually as an opportunity for our community members to be civically engaged and have an influence on the decision that can impact their life, their day-to-day life in the area of health, education, public safety, and many more other areas. We put an emphasis on language access. It is important for us, for the community, to understand that the census can be taken in the different languages they speak. Also, we clarify to them that personal information that they will be disclosing won't be shared with any law enforcement agency. This year, I'm planning to respond to the 2020 census online and take it in French. I'm a native French speaker, and I think I'll be more comfortable taking it in French this year online.
Well, Malcolm, I wish we had an hour to talk, but we'll continue because you have a lot to offer. The goal of Witati, if you guys don't know what Witati is, Witati is an organization that I founded, WETATI. It's called Women Empowered to Achieve the Impossible, or when men and women are involved, it's called We Are Empowered to Achieve the Impossible. And organizations like that are very vital for such a time as this because empowerment and encouragement is very much needed. So I need you to go back, and I'm trying to tell them the relationship and how we've been building from the eyes of the students and the struggles you just talked about. Talk about, I don't know if you know about census, the power of that. Quickly talk about that and what you're going to do to encourage your generation to participate. And then you go into the virtual switch. What are you guys looking to? Now that you switch, you used to go to classroom, got your backpack. Now I think backpack may go out of business because nobody's going to be carrying them for some time. That's why relevance is important, that you have to be a visionary in all that you do. But now what is relevant now more than ever before is technology. Can you take a stab at that? How is that working out despite the challenges? And is there going to be any good that will come out of all of this? Because what is not normal doesn't feel right. Change is usually resisted by all people. But what is constant in life is change itself. Change we must. If we don't, when change happens upon us, we're not going to like how it happens. So take it away and let's hear your perspective and what you think your generation is going to do.
Right. So speaking on the census aspect first, I had the pleasure of going to a census summit at Towson this following March, just before all of this. And just knowing that this year, this is the first year or decade that the census is offered online. Before, it was just paper ballot and they'll come to your house. Now it's also offered online, making more people more inclined to fill it out. And 10 minutes to fill it out will affect 10 years of resources.
That's right.
It's the thing. These resources are from how much do you get in scholarships, books, funding for your school. So what stores could be open around your area, what's needed around your area, to healthcare around your area. Just getting the idea, the government needs to know who's here and how they can support us. And if we don't let them know who's here and how they can support us, no one's going to support us. And then speaking on your adjusting and reaction to change comment. So yeah, even if we get back everyone's saying get back to normal. I believe there is no getting back to normal. This is going to change how schools are even presented in a classroom. This is like even after a vaccine is even administered.
Yeah.
They're going to have to incorporate this into the architecture, into just our daily
the fabric of the society.
Right. We're not handshaking like that. We're not we're not approaching everything the same. And we have to be cognizant of that. Just not flexible, not breakable, but flexible.
That's right.
And just being able to understand that this is for, everything has a reason for happening. So just to speak on what's not going to happen again, or at least the same, I would think the amount of online classes is definitely going to increase, and the need for everyday meetings may decrease in the public school space. Those two, I would think, would be what's not going to keep going. They're going to offer.
Do you think that even when things get back to normal, whatever the word is, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, I know for a fact at some point this is not the end of life for those people who think that it would come to pass. I just don't know when or how. That it would affect, because there's always like, why am I going to school? Because now I'm going to go collect all this debt. Now I don't need to go to the classroom. I can do online and not collect all those student loans and debt that is going to affect me and my family for another 20 years, because that student loan can follow you for the rest of your life. What are you thinking, or what are you hearing? How is that going to affect or impact students wanting to go back, not wanting to go back, or something in the middle? Because the policymakers are talking to you guys to understand where they need to be going, not the decision they want to make for their own political gains or positions, but what would impact the society for people like you and the rest of other students in your position.
Right. I kind of touched on this earlier. We're only going to college once. We're only a freshman in college once, sophomore, and so on and so on. So just having those experiences are also what in one side of our head, how we're not going to be able to experience homecomings or experience just socializing in a dorm or independence away from our parents. That's one side of our brain. And then another side is the popular online classes are going to probably be popular one way or another in the next 5 years. The demand for it is going to increase because people are having this fear looming over their head that, oh, I can't be around too many people. Let me avoid being around people as much as possible. And you touched on that, how you said online classes are going to be increasing. I think the switch, the way that classes have to be adaptable to switch online is going to be prevalent. So any new topics or new majors or subjects that's incorporated into the curriculum, they're going to have to be tested if they could go virtual within a weekend. I think that's also a criteria that's going to be common coming up.
Yeah, I mean, totally. Even for Witati, the way we flipped right away, it was like magic. It's like either adapt or die. Anyone that is watching us or sitting anywhere, and you thinking you can't wait for this to be over so you can go back to your old way of being and do it, forget it. It's not going to happen. You would have to create true normalcy in your life and work. You see, as bad as this is, in a few years to come, this whatever new ways we're going to be would seem normal. Because remember, whatever your family or issue you were born to is normal to you until somebody introduces something else to you. They go, oh wow, then you embrace it. Before you know it, it may be whack, it may be whatever, but all of a sudden over time becomes normal to you. So what are we saying in effect? It is imperative that we hear from the eyes of the students, because your generation and the one below you are the one that are going to solve this problem. So I'm charging you guys to pay attention to what's going on politically, because there is what I call blurry line between politics and economics. So most of the times, I'm not a politician, by the way, but it's a fact that if we don't follow through what's going on, most of those policies will always be at the back of those who need the help the most. I need you guys, you particularly, to keep your eye on that position. It's not an easy thing to carry, but what choice do you have that is going to help you fulfill your calling in life? Just listening to you itself is encouragement. I'm very, very proud of you. Again, I want to welcome you again to the show. It's been really, really great. I know that you're going to be a great person. That's why I tell you, don't let distraction come get to you. They will come, but dismiss them because you have a call in your life, and it's imperative that you understand that. I have a great sense of discernment. I have a spirit of discernment. I can tell when I right. So I want everyone. I'm sure you're sharing it as well on your own social media. But if you're interested on coming on Margaret Speaks or Media to Africa, who is one of our partners, and we're doing some great things. Media to Africa is one of the is international, is national, is local, and the platform is where you can come and bring about change and get change. We need stuff like this so that our folks can have a platform where we can come and have a heart-to-heart conversation, because what matters to us is important to us. We shouldn't be leaving our needs in the hand of anyone else, so nobody can take care of us better than we can. So do you have some final words that you want to share? I'm thinking that you want to say before we bring it to a close. It's only 30 minutes, and those of you that are watching, please like us on social media, follow us, whatever you want to do. Follow me, run after me, whatever you want to do, just do it. Let's stay connected and reach out and touch somebody. Don't keep doing the same thing you've been doing all this while and never got where you want to go, because that's what is called the definition of insanity. Do what you've never done to get you've never gotten. Speak to people you've never spoken with so that their own magic can rub off of you. You know where I'm going with that. So, Malcom, before I bring it to a final close, give us your final thought on this important conversation.
Right. Thank you again for allowing me to come on the show. Just as we all navigate through this pandemic, next time you talk to a college student, just be aware of the hurdles that we face every day, such as access to technology, parents being in the house while we were trying to study, professors transitioning to the virtual space. Work study is no longer being available. Summer internships are being canceled. Graduations have been canceled. Clubs are not being able to incorporate and initiate the agendas that they had. And you only go to college once. So our college experience is being affected. So just keep that in mind next time you speak to a college student or even a school student at that.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't have asked for a better, because you now brought a new perspective in it too, because now the people that they used to share common space are forced to be in the same environment. And that can be very mentally challenging and emotionally too. And I think that's something you brought up. Maybe some other day you can come back and be sure, because sometimes people misunderstand or underestimate the impact of emotional abuse or emotional negligence, where they think, oh, just shut up and sit there and do your homework. Oh, shut up. That's not that. Normally, 10 o'clock in the morning, me and you, Daddy, Papa, we don't sit here. I'm in school, you at work. So there has to be some kind of conversation so everyone can be able to express themselves and be considerate of the other in terms of how all this can work. But you know the good news about it? Because of this, there'll be a lot of love, and there can be conflict is inevitable in any situation. But the good that will come out of it, I can guarantee you, will be greater than the bad that came out of it, right? Thank you so much, Mark. Really very excited to have you on the show. Outside of this, we're going to have a conversation about how can we move the powers that be to help those students that need the laptops or the access to technology so that they will not lose both ways. Because if we can empower them, give them the tool that they need, we can create a better, more stronger community, and their future will be better. A better future of a child means a better future of that society, of the family, and beyond, right? You follow me? So until next time, you all, this is Ambassador Dr. Margaret Durecki, the Oprah of Africa. Follow me on social media. If you want to check out some of the books I've written on personal and business development, you can go to Amazon.com. My first and last name, all of that is there. We have some great programs coming soon too, so stay tuned. Until next time, be kind to somebody. When people are mean to you, just bless them. If you need to speak up, speak up. But after that, find your peace and keep it moving. Until next time, I would say with Tati, we say power.
Power.
Right? Power.
Yes.
All right. Take care. God bless and have a good one.